hope your front door is locked and your phone is switched off. It's match time, and nothing can come in the way of a head coach and his Blood Bowl.
I have no idea how this team works again. It's been ages and ages since I played them. So.
Do you have like proper builds and way to play teams and stuff?
In general?
Yeah.
I like to think I do them properly most of the time.
Okay.
I mean, I did do a bunch of guides on the new ones.
I haven't done my guides. People keep asking me to do the guides on the new ones. I'm like, guys, I don't pay any attention to Blood Bowl. You know, those early ones were literally just like introduction to Blood Bowl. But so many people have messaged me being like, "Hey, I love your guides. They help me so much." I'm like, really? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been asked to do the guides for the new ones. I'm thinking about it. Are we gonna drop back into discussion or
brain?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I have
now that the psychologist is gone, we can talk freely.
I have basically like I have a couple of things I want to go over. It's
sure.
Mostly, is this going on YouTube or?
Yes, unless you have objections, and then it's not.
No, it's fine. Like I was like part of the reason I wanted to do this is so that it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course to help you on your stream birthday.
Thank you. And of course for charity and stuff
fuck
like
charity.
I don't know her, so no.
Oh my god.
I am a father. I'm allowed.
I'm barely.
Which is, am I barely a father or am I barely allowed?
You're barely allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Definitely.
Let's see. I see catch. I see sure hands on a blitzer, horns on a thrower, extra arms on a blitzer. That's interesting.
Are you playing against a viewer or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to
So,
do it?
what did you want
give
to
them a
talk
shout out before we get going?
So I'm playing against viewer Haas who offered to step in, which is kind of cool.
Thank you, Haas.
Yes, indeed.
I didn't want to play another one because I want to concentrate, and it's hard to concentrate.
Yeah. No, I think that's very sensible. I was suffering from the same. Good thing I had you guys to talk so that I could kind of play a game in the meantime.
I was not playing a game much at all.
True. No argument there.
I guess I'll just go into it. Basically, the first thing I wanted to go over is like survival tips I've learnt. Pretty much. Like what I want to say before we get into it is like these aren't in any way cures or advised. They're not like this is just shit that I've learned helps me get through the anxiety and the panic attacks and all that. You should still work towards getting better. This don't like listen to this and be like, oh cool, Sheepy knows how to cure me, and then I get sued. Basically,
this is just what worked for you.
Yeah, this is what worked for me, and what might work for you, and it's a way to get through a day where it's really shitty. So, one of the first things which is really really helpful is rescue remedy.
Rescue remedy. Okay.
Yeah, it's I have some of it around here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. I don't know if it's the same in other countries, but yeah, it's pretty much like it's a tincture, I think they're called.
Okay. I only know that term from fantasy literature, basically.
Yeah, it's a grape alcohol solution.
Okay.
What it does is very often it's used for people who've gone through trauma. And it helps basically if you're going through a massive panic attack or anything along those lines. It just helps stop it. You know, like if I don't know for you two, like whether when you have a panic attack, you get the whole thing where it like goes on and on and on, and you keep spiraling. But
yeah, I mostly have escapist. I mostly respond in an escapist kind of way, so I start doing other stuff, and then I don't really interact with it much, and that doesn't help. But yeah.
I think you got company.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
Sorry. My breakfast showed up.
You are forgiven.
I'm back. What were you saying?
Oh, we're just asking what kind of company.
What kind of...
What I heard a female voice.
Breakfast.
Oh, breakfast.
Turned out to be breakfast. I thought you had a great...
No, just getting breakfast.
But yeah, I get the full-blown spiraling thing. Heartbeats, the faint, the feeling that you want to faint or gonna faint, and the fear of death. I'm gonna drop dead right here, right?
Yeah, that's always fun.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't rescue used for insomnia too? Not to my knowledge. It's never helped me with insomnia. I know that. But the thing is, very often the rescue remedy helps get rid of the anxiety, which is the thing that's keeping you awake. So, technically speaking, yes, I think it can help. But if you just have insomnia, I don't think it would help you.
But what do you do? Do you drink it? Do you rub it on your forehead? I have no idea what this.
There are different ways you can do it. One way is to drop them. They're like drops, and you drop them into a drink, like a water, and then you drink that. That can help. Personally, I drop a couple of drops on the top of my tongue, couple of drops on the bottom of my tongue. It's like a very sharp taste. You know, like alcoholic. You know what I mean? Like that kind of tangy taste. It just helps you. Just helps you kind of get out of the spiral, you know, like when your head's spinning and you're getting like thought flashes and you can't concentrate on anything and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. It basically, I hate to use this phrase, but it basically helps center you and like anchor you. It helps anchor you to something, and it stops the spiral. Not always, you know. Sometimes it's not 100% effective, but it does generally help at least lessen things so you can get back on top of it. So yeah, rescue remedy is my #1 go-to when things are really, really bad. Aside from that, what else do I use? Chamomile tea. That I find like that is a very useful way of just chilling out. It's, you know, it's nothing special. It's just chamomile tea. It's just tea, basically. But I've always found it very helpful, especially like at night when I'm feeling, you know, extra kind of fidgety and restless. That can really help, like, just chill things down a little bit. Not really for when your anxiety and panic attacks are going on, but more like when you're just feeling restless.
You need a rest.
Yeah. One really light way to help deal with it is olives.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of weird, I know, but if you have anything similar to olives, like, you know, that kind of sharp taste you get with the olives, it's very similar to the rescue remedy. If you just like eat a few olives, that can help kind of like anchor your mind a little bit and stop it from running off in the weird directions it can run. One sec.
It's just shitty that I hate olives.
Yeah, me too.
You hate chamomile tea, rescue remedy, and olives?
Yes.
No, just olives.
Oh,
No, I actually hate chamomile tea.
I'm not a massive fan of olives, but, you know, again, like anything sharp like that, like with a really like tangy taste, maybe like lemons, if you can stomach a lemon, that will probably help. But I don't like lemons, so.
It's better than olives.
Depends if you like olives or not.
Yeah, true.
Fair enough.
Um,
And lemons.
yeah.
Because
So,
I think Caff is more of a melon person, but that might be the dyslexia.
Hard. You're so funny today.
I know, right? I'm not
that's
even
because I'm
trying.
here. We bounce well off each other.
Mm-hmm. And I just sit here in the middle like the audience at a tennis match.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, I got a bacon sandwich came to me, so I'm just eating this as well. This is my breakfast.
How does that ever
Dare
happen?
you?
How dare I eat bacon or have a bacon sandwich?
Yes, how dare you have a bacon sandwich and I don't?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's really simple. It's just a roll with bacon and butter, but there's something so beautiful about it. So another good thing is very often anxiety and panic attacks are brought on by hyperventilating. Like, you don't notice that you're hyperventilating. So anything that can regulate your breathing, for example, eating. If you're if you're starting to get, I mean, lack of food and that kind of thing, like the energy, etc. Lack of food can actually cause anxiety and stuff as well, as far as I know. I've noticed, at least. But just
yeah, and it can also make you really, really grumpy.
yeah, just the act of eating can help regulate your breathing. So that can actually that can actually really help. Like, if you have something like crackers or I don't know, whatever, just eating a little bit can help regulate your breathing enough so that you get past the panic attack oncome. And yeah, it's weird, but it helps. What else is good? Oh, a really good one. Very, very, very offset from all the others is masturbation or sex.
Yeah, I think we actually mentioned those earlier, but yeah.
Oh, really?
I can see that.
There we go with the orgasms.
Well, it was in the list of player names on my remedies team. Yeah.
Oh, so you got talking about orgasms for a bit.
Well, not much yet, but I'm sure I'm sure you guys will manage.
I mean, again, it's about regulating the breathing. So, like, if you have like a 2-minute shufti, that's not going to help you very much. But if you just like, treat yourself a little bit for a good 10-20 minutes, it'll help you a lot with the anxiety.
I've actually never tried that.
Really?
You've never tried treating yourself for 20 minutes.
Well, I've tried that. Not while being angsty, though.
Well, it's like, obviously, if you're in the middle of a full blown panic attack, it's not going to work because you're going to be.
It's not.
Probably not. But the thing is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people with anxiety and panic attacks are drawn to games and gaming is that it's a singular task you can focus on completely, and it distracts you from the anxiety. And
that kind of makes sense.
That's one of the things that is so useful. And for myself, I found anything that you can kind of devote your whole attention to can, for the most part, distract you. And one of the things that I think everyone devotes themselves to 100% is masturbation or sex. I very, very, very rarely find myself doing my taxes while I'm having a quick, But yeah, no, it really can help. I'm not saying always do that, because otherwise, you know, you're going to hurt yourself and end up really, really sore. But
there's lube for that.
I mean, yeah, hand cream, you know, whatever.
Well, that's not where I expected this to go, but good advice all the same, I suppose.
Well, you know, whatever helps, you know.
Yeah.
This is like emergency control kind of stuff, you know, like when things are bad, this is how to get you through a shitty day. You know, it's not to. Yeah. I'm not telling you to jack off every single second of every day to get through the anxiety. You know. Well, you can try. Let me know how that works out.
So, have you tried the kinds of breathing exercises that that people do? Like, I don't know, the yogi and stuff. Have you tried that at all, or is that less useful because you need to focus on the breathing instead of having it as a byproduct of whatever you're doing? So,
the best thing I've found is to find things that interest you. Mm-hmm. Now, for myself, if I sit down and focus on my breathing, I suddenly start feeling like I can't breathe properly, and that brings on a panic attack.
That makes sense, yeah.
So I understand how it could help. It doesn't help me. And the other thing is if I'm sitting around doing nothing, my brain suddenly goes, "Hey, isn't your arm hurting? Aren't you having a heart attack? Can you breathe properly? Wow, this room is really small. Maybe you should run outside."
Did you remember to worry today? Yeah.
Yeah.
That. Okay.
So, you know, I focus more on things that distract me. And again, long term, these things don't help get you better because you train yourself to avoid these situations. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if you can handle it, you should always have the panic attack. You should always deal with the anxiety, because otherwise you just end up avoiding everything. That's how people become locked in their house, in their room for 20 years.
Speaking of that, though, I know that you've had issues with that, avoiding the outside world.
I'll go outside every day.
You go outside every day? But that hasn't always been the case, right?
Yeah. Well, I have difficulty driving. Mm-hmm. So when I was living with my parents, after like the anxiety and panic attacks really started hitting me, I'd still drive every day, but a 5-minute drive would take me about 20 to 30 minutes because I'd have to stop about 3 or 4 times to get out of the car and hyperventilate and pass out and stuff.
Wow. And did you have enough time to feel that coming on?
Oh, I always knew that it was going to happen. You know, like, this is the thing, is you can feel it coming on. You can feel, and it's just a matter of being like, okay, well, I'm having a panic attack, so let's jump out the car and really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, the way I see it is it's not particularly dangerous as long as you're careful about it. And, like, this is the thing, is part of it is just the fear of fear, you know, like
I'd say that's a big part, probably.
So, like, if I'm driving to the local shop, you know, down some back roads and down regular roads, it's not too bad. If I'm getting on like a massive motorway, I'm gonna have a massive panic attack before I get there, because I'm like, what if I have a panic attack while I'm on it? You know, that's gonna be really difficult, and all of this kind of thing. So, I mean, you know, it's it's not the safest, I guess, because there was always a possibility that I could have a panic. But the other option is that's an excuse for me not to drive, and then I would have ended up.
I totally get that one. Actually, I had an accident when I didn't have my driver's license for very long yet, and that scared me from driving for quite a while.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I would force myself to do it because I felt like I needed to get over that, but it was it took me a lot of effort and a lot of willpower, and it took me years and years and years to start feeling comfortable driving, and also to feel like, okay, wait a minute, this isn't something that I suck at massively. This is just something that happened once, basically.
Yeah. And even if you understand that intellectually, subconsciously, you still get very
Yeah, I would find ways to avoid having to go somewhere by car, and I would I would get sweaty palms just moving in the direction where it was, and yeah, it was it took me a long time to get over that, but now, yeah, I don't know, it's about 2 years ago. I really seem to have gotten past that completely, a lot more than I did the burnout thing.
Yeah. So
Gnori is asking, who are the guests? Could you guys briefly remind everyone who you are, please?
I am Superman. I hail from the I can't remember. Where does Superman come from? Krypton.
Krypton.
I come from Krypton. Fuck it. I'm Aquaman. I live in the sea, and now I'm hot suddenly.
Are you Jason Momoa?
I didn't understand a single word except for Momoa, so...
Yeah, I asked if you were Jason Momoa because he played the new...
I wish.
The new... he is hot!
There are very few people in this world who can have sex with both sexes anyone they want. I think Jason Momoa is possibly one of those people. Also, yes, you did sound like Batman more than Jason Momoa there.
Yeah. That was very Batman.
So...
Yeah, that's my good voice.
For people who haven't experienced anxiety and panic attacks that much, I've got a story which you guys will enjoy.
Okay.
You guys as well. So this is back when I was probably about... I think this is just before I started working as a bouncer. So I was at a kind of extracurricular course type thing, trying to learn IT. Went really badly. Different story.
Okay, for a moment I was looking for a euphemism, but okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I was driving home, and I'd had some panic attacks. My anxiety wasn't horrible. It was mostly like just a feeling that something might be wrong somewhere somehow, as opposed to when your anxiety gets really bad, you just know that everything's always wrong. So I'm driving back from college by myself, and I'm listening to the radio, and I'm feeling a little bit anxious, like just because I'm driving. That's just a regular thing.
Yeah.
And suddenly my radio just turns off. It doesn't turn off. Sorry, it just stops. You know, someone's talking on the radio, and suddenly it just cuts out. It's just like done.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's weird. So I switch over to another channel. That channel's also nothing coming out. You know, there's no channel anymore. So I switch to another channel. Nothing coming out. You know, there's nothing going on. I'm like, wow, none of these radio stations are broadcasting anymore. Now, anyone who doesn't have anxiety, anyone who's just like a regular person, would probably be like, wow, my radio is broken somehow. Let's fix it.
And your brain is going, apocalypse.
In my head, it was the apocalypse. There had been a nuclear strike on London, and I had to stop the car because I was hyperventilating so badly. And then, like, after about 20 minutes of hyperventilating, I get back in the car, turn the radio on, turn the radio off, turn it on again, and it's working fine. Another example, I spent about probably about 3 weeks recently convinced that I was going blind.
Okay.
Where you go?
Huh?
You go, Caff.
No, what happened to make you think you went blind?
Nothing.
So nothing changed in your eyes or anything? It's just like, no, I'm going blind.
Yeah, everything was exactly the same, but I was absolutely convinced I was going blind.
So, do you have any idea where that comes from?
No.
Wow. That must be so frustrating. Were you at some level aware that, you know, your eyesight was just fine?
Yeah. I mean, intellectually, you know, you can say to yourself, I'm not having a heart attack when you're having a panic attack or whatever. But it's the what if, because you don't have any proof that you're not.
Yeah.
And that's the state of mind it puts you in. So, you know, like, I refuse to go to the doctor unless it's something very, very clearly wrong. So, for myself, I know that I'm not going blind, which is why I didn't go to the doctor and be like, I'm going blind. But at the same time, you know, your anxiety, your subconscious, your whatever is convinced that you're going blind, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. There's no proof that you're not, and until you go to the doctor and prove that you're not going blind, even afterwards, you know, because you can always say, like, there's always an extra thing, you know. So say I go to the doctor and he says, nope, your eyesight's fine, you're not going blind. I'll be like, well, he's not an eye doctor. You know, maybe he's not any good at his job.
You don't want to go to the doctor for the 4th time this year saying, Doctor, I'm afraid I might be a hypochondriac, because that just doesn't work.
I mean, yeah. Like, I very occasionally go to the ER when my anxiety is so and panic attacks are so bad that I can't sleep for a couple of days, and you know, I'm passing out all the time and that kind of thing. Like, I think this year I've been about 5 times ish. Most of the time, just being at the hospital calms me down enough. You know, I'm just there for a bit. I don't even see a doctor. I'm just there. It calms me down being close to people who can save me if I suddenly randomly die, or, you know, whatever.
Because you're safe.
Yeah. And then I can head back. There's been a couple of times they actually had to, like, it was so bad, they had to give me tranquilizers. But aside from that, you know, I don't go to the doctor unless it's very obviously something wrong with me. Here's a good one, actually. Every now and then, for like, just for no reason, I'll be paranoid that I'm going to swallow my tongue. And, like, I'll walk around town, like, going to the shops, holding my tongue in my teeth and trying to avoid swallowing, because I'm absolutely certain I'm going to swallow my tongue.
That must be so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you're a sensible dude, and you know that this stuff isn't real, and that doesn't stop you from having the real fear.
Just wondering if there's any other, like, really out there crazy ones that I've had. Oh, I once had a 3-day panic attack. Because I was lying in bed and I felt my mind snap. Okay, bear with me, right?
Yeah.
Basically, like, I hadn't slept for like a day probably, and I was a little bit strung out and everything, and I was like slowly falling asleep, and I guess maybe there was like a loud noise outside my house, or, you know, whatever.
Something.
But it really hurt in my head. And in my kind of like slightly dazed mind, it felt like I'd gone crazy. You know, so like my mind, like literally I thought my mind had snapped. And I spent, because the anxiety and the hyperventilating makes it feel like you're high, basically, like you, almost like you're on drugs. It basically just, it freaked me the fuck out, and I spent about 3 days thinking I was going insane.
that's really one of the worst parts, because with anxiety, you can never be sure that you aren't going insane, because you just might.
Yeah. Like anxiety is in effect fear of the unknown. You know,
and everything is unknown.
Yeah, everything's unknown. Like it's not even the fear of unknown. It's what if. That is the anxiety phrase. You know, I'm not having a heart attack, but what if I am?
Oh, missed the guy. Lucky me.
You know, so like, if you've ever had a what if thought in your head, that's what it's like for people with anxiety all the time.
Except you're not able to discount them as, oh wait, this is just me thinking weird things.
Like all of your weird what if thoughts are 100% feasible when you're on anxiety brain.
Yeah.
I've always been told that I'm the worrying kind. When I've had people over and they go home, I always say, text me when you get back. And that is one of those what ifs. Because what if you don't text me? What if you actually die on your way home? Then it's my fault that you died because you were at my place. And that is so... I don't think a normal person thinks like that, because they're like, yeah, of course, go home. Bye. But to me, it's the possibility of you actually dying on your way home, for me, is huge. I mean, you might.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fucked up.
Well, that's why I have all these things to distract. I have all these kind of coping mechanisms to deal with when you can't deal with the what if, so you divert it. You know, so if I'm thinking, man, I might swallow my tongue for a couple of days, a good way to divert it is to drop a couple of rescue remedies. You know, it kind of focuses the brain, gives you enough breathing space to start playing a game, you know, go for a walk, go meet some friends, and like shift that thought out of your head. But like the problem with anxiety for the most part is one of the things I use to describe it is it's like trying not to think of a pink elephant while a pink elephant is raping your brain.
Yeah, that's actually a really good way to explain.
Yeah, there is absolutely no way to ignore a pink elephant that is raping your brain. You know, it's impossible, and that's what anxiety is. You know,
trust me, I've tried. Yeah,
yeah. There is like here's another good example of how people outside of anxiety can deal with this. I was sharing a flat with one of my best mates, Cubal, and someone else who will remain nameless because he does not come off well in this conversation. And I was sharing a flat with them in London, and Cubal, like, he looked up my thyroid problems, he looked up anxiety, he looked up all of these things. He didn't understand them, and whenever we talked about it, he was like, look, mate, I haven't been through this shit, so I don't know what you're going through. I get an idea, but I don't know what it's actually like. I can't, you know, I haven't felt it.
Respecting that he can't get into your head, basically.
Yeah. But, you know, he would complain to me, he would push me, he would do all of those things. This other guy who was sharing the flat with us, he had the opinion that the best way to deal with anxiety is to just get over with it. And he literally at one point he said to me, if I had what you had, I'd just deal with it and get on with life. You know, it's no big deal. Yeah. It's easy to get over.
Yeah, that's something you hear a lot, where people, because they can't really imagine being in your situation, they kind of discount it as
they don't try
not
to
that
imagine.
Big a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't imagine either, really. I mean, I can try and create this internal model of what that must be like, but I can't really see it. But I don't think I could because I can't imagine it, because it's too alien in a way for me to fully grasp what it works like, how it works. I'm not going to say, well, I would respond in this or that way, because it's a different way of how your brain works.
Yeah.
It doesn't compute, basically.
No. I mean, you know, my flatmate, his anxiety was social. You know, so he had problems with people. He had problems going out to meetings and, you know, meeting people and stuff like that. Me, myself, I'm fine meeting people. As long as it's in a situation I'm comfortable with. Like, you know, if I've gone out and someone runs up to me and starts shouting at me, obviously I'm not going to deal with that very well. But just meeting people in a regular situation, I'm very outgoing. I'm very easygoing, and I don't have a problem chatting with people. I'd say, for the most part, I'm an extrovert. It's just, you know, he can't understand my anxiety because my anxiety's kind of health-based, mostly. Literally, I've had...
Do they know what triggers, or what is, if there's something in your brain that makes you more sustainable, that makes it easier for anxiety? Yeah, that big fancy word you used.
I mean,
you have it cheap, but
it
because we are thyroid.
It all stems from my thyroid problems. So, yeah, like, this is the thing: is like, my chemicals are imbalanced. I take pills to keep them steady, although because of the way my thyroid processes them, they never get brilliantly, you know, aligned, basically. It means like when I'm taking my pills and things are good, I have background anxiety, no panic attacks, a little depression, and, you know, irritability and stuff.
Wait, hold up. Background anxiety, by this you mean the level I have that I consider almost nothing because it never gets any lower than that or something. Is that roughly what
it's basic?
Okay. That's kind of a depressing term, to be honest.
Well, like, this is the thing, is your perspective shifts. You know?
Exactly.
Like, when you have anxiety of any type, it's terrible. It doesn't matter how bad it is or how acute it is, because if you haven't dealt with worse, it's gonna fuck you up. Like, that's my take. You know, it doesn't matter how bad my anxiety is, it's not worse than anyone else's. You know, it's just different. It's not even different. You know, like, there are nuances of it, sure, but everyone goes through similar things, like panic attacks. And when you're in a panic attack, who cares how extreme it is? Who cares if you pass out? You still think you're dying. You know, you're still got that fight or flight, which tells you you're dying. You know, it doesn't matter if it makes you pass out or if it just makes you hyperventilate. The fear is still there. And, like, this is the thing, is, for me, background anxiety, I can deal with literally in my sleep, you know, because, you know, so, like, some people may just have background anxiety, but it's debilitating for them. The only reason I can deal with it is because I can deal with in-your-face fucking, you know, pink elephant brain raping anxiety. So, like, I think one of the things you should come to terms with is, if you have anxiety, and especially if it's chemical like mine, there's always going to be some anxiety. You know, anxiety isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, I mean, that's one thing. Basically, anxiety is a non-immediate fear response. It's a fearful about something that's not right now, but that you expect or could see happen and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and that has a normal role in a healthy brain as well.
Yeah,
because it's basically worrying.
Yeah, I mean, worrying is a useful thing. Yeah, and worrying about stuff that doesn't affect you, that isn't real, is a problem. But there is a natural, sensible value in being able to worry. So that makes it tricky
because you know that you're dealing with a system that you're supposed to have. It's just kind of overreacting. It's like you've got a worry allergy or something, right?
Yeah. You know, your adrenaline starts pumping when it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
You know, so like most people when they like walk around a corner and almost knock into someone, you know, they'd have a very quick boost of adrenaline, just a tiny bit of adrenaline, and a very, very quick where they'd go, oh, that scared me. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you have anxiety, when you have panic attacks, when that regulation is off, I'll be sitting, literally doing nothing, maybe like watching TV, and suddenly my entire body is bursting full of adrenaline, like I almost had a car accident. And it won't be like a sudden like bang. It will be for 10 minutes. It will feel like that. And that's where the panic attack quite often comes from. Is just that feeling of I should be scared of something, but I have literally nothing to be scared of.
There we go with the boss battle music.
Exactly. I was there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great way of describing it, the boss battle music, where you suddenly hear the boss battle music and you're like, but there's no boss. Is there a feeling of things are going too well, this is suspicious, and I should be worried about it? That sounds like just
a bit angst.
It sounds a bit Tumblr-y, and also and also it sounds a bit self-defeatist, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever thought things are going too well, this is suspicious, and things are going to go wrong. Like honestly, I do see a trend of people who don't really have mental problems, like mental issues, kind of or people who have, I'm not going to say light, but people who have kind of, you know,
non-clinical but same sort of symptoms-ish.
It seems to be, I don't know how or why, but it seems to be cool now to have some form of you know, depression or something, like the cool depression, you know. I think that's where the whole edgy thing comes from. Like, people were obsessed with being edgy, I think.
I actually agree a bit with you. My ex was a musician, and a lot of the people in that world are like, yeah, I'm so freaking depressed, but I have to be it because that's the only way I can create my music. Yeah. You're like, it's death metal, dude. Just slam a few guitars together and it'll be.
I mean, you know, I'll see people be like, yeah, I have a drug or alcohol problem, when they don't. I do put my hand up, as Sage was saying earlier. He's not very cynical. I'm very cynical, and I tend to see these things and just be very like, no, you're fine.
Well, I think the official definition for alcoholism is a bit on the low side.
Yeah.
Either that or I barely know non-alcoholic people. That might also be true.
Yeah. I mean, one actual real danger for people with anxiety and depression, etc., is, especially anxiety and panic attacks, is alcoholism. Because, like, for myself, if I have like 3 or 4 beers, I can walk outside and walk around town, and I'll feel mostly fine, even if my anxiety was really bad earlier, because it's just one of those things that helps you without that kind of masks the anxiety.
It's a relaxant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that means that you're self-medicating if you drink?
I think if you drink, I think the best thing to do if you have anxiety and panic attacks is to avoid drinking daily. You know, like don't drink with food,
because it's more tempting
It's so
for
much
you
more,
than for most people. Yeah.
so much more tempting. And like myself, when I first found out I had anxiety and panic attacks, I actually stopped drinking for 3 years completely. Like I just cut it out because I was worried about becoming dependent.
Yeah.
I can't drink since I've started having my anxiety attack.
Why?
Because I'm a control freak. And as soon as I feel like I'm not in control, then it triggers an anxiety attack, and alcohol kind of makes me lose control.
You should try ecstasy, it's even worse.
No.
This was not general advice on stream. Thank you.
I mean, if you haven't tried ecstasy, how can you know it's bad, right? So you have to try it first before you know you don't want it.
Okay.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know Sheepdog, he says whatever comes to mind. He has absolutely zero filter.
I have no worries about offending or being inappropriate, even on someone else's stream. Sorry, Sage.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I don't get monetized much these days anyway, so it's fine.
Fuck it. Twitch is shit anyway.
Oh God.
But yeah, no, like, there was something else I was gonna say, and I forgot what it is now. Oh no, it was the alcohol thing. Yeah, alcohol, and I find often people with anxiety and etc. They'll also become dependent on marijuana.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah, it does. It's, you know, and like people feel like, oh, it's just marijuana, it's just weed, you know, it's not addictive, so I can't get addicted. Just because something isn't addictive,
physically,
you can still get addicted.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
one of I'm not going to call him a friend, he was a fucking moron, but someone I knew actually sold his watch to a dealer for weed.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, anything that gives you pleasure can become addictive. I mean, computer games are not chemically addictive.
No.
So of course, stuff that changes your brain functionality in one way or another can be addictive without having to act on your dopamine reward system directly. Because anything that feels good is indirectly rewarding.
Yeah, Plokia brings up a good point. Peachy does have a disclaimer on his Twitch channel which says the views expressed by Sheepdog does not represent this company's views. Just something you might want to think about.
It's a good idea, yeah. I'll hereby do a verbal disclaimer. Sheep's views are entirely his own, except when they're not. And then they're not even his.
Yeah, most of the time I don't agree with what I say.
Yeah.
I have very often made fun of pretty much anyone, really. An old favorite is feminism. I like to make fun of feminism because women are stupid.
I mostly take issue with the
I
name.
love you too, She.
But yeah, mental issues, you know, they're fun.
Hysterically fun.
Yeah, I love them. I must say I love them, to be honest.
Yeah, love thyself.
Yeah.
Are we on the masturbation again?
Sure, let's go.
It's just love thyself. I mean, okay.
I think that's a religious thing as opposed to or like maybe a spiritual thing as opposed to a masturbation. But I guess it could be applied lubriciously.
I think Samlo has a fair point, though, that it can be quite easy to miss legitimate mental health issues as well, where you see someone and they kind of hide what they're feeling, and they don't really like you did with your shrinks, Sheep.
Oh yeah, no.
And so the inverse, where not people trying to be edgy, but rather people.
Well, actually, that's my rule of thumb. Like, I don't live by it. I don't stand by it. But generally, anyone who comes into a group of strangers and says, I have mental problems, I write them off as not having mental problems. Just purely because nearly everyone I know downplays their mental problems unless it's just they trust.
Yeah.
So like, if you come up to me in the street and say, I have mental problems, actually, I'd probably agree with you in that instance. But
you do.
In general, like anyone who shouts about how fucked up they are, generally isn't that fucked up. Which I realise is strange coming from me, who's very open about talking about this stuff. But yeah.
So you're fine. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, I'm fine. No problems. Absolutely wonderful. Sage, say goodbye to all ads. Yeah, no more ads.
Bye ads. YouTube, it's just this video. Please don't demonetize the rest of my channel.
Demonetize all of it.
Demonize.
You know, I got mass demonetized. I did a few like no swearing videos where like I don't need to swear. Did? It's just I have to think about not swearing. So and then I requested a review on them, and now I don't get demonetized that much.
You deliberately did a couple of non-swearing ones, and then you requested reviews only for those.
Yeah, and then all the other ones got...
So then the algorithm learned Sheep's videos are okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's nice. I like that.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, is if they're going to use a bullshit algorithm to fuck people over, you may as well play the system and...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Fuck them. I mean, I say Twitch is shit. And I do stand by that, but YouTube is also shit, don't get me wrong. But I mean, where we were talking, there was someone talking about not really depressed, yeah. So, I mean, for the most part, anyone with serious mental health issues are going to hide it, especially if it's early on. You know, so, like, it took me ages to really like go and see anyone about it, because you know I just mostly thought like I'm cool, I can handle this. In the end, talking to someone didn't help me in the sense of like making me feel better forever. It just made me feel better about certain things and just eased off my anxiety, so it was good. Or they're fucked up in a different way than they're saying, and in general I agree. At the same time, learning not to hide your problems can be really important. Honestly, one of the things that's helped me the most with my anxiety and just dealing with my shit is being able to just talk about it.
Yeah, that's exactly why we're doing this today as well. To show that you can, and to show that there's people out there who we interact with a lot who are going through the same kinds of shit, really.
Yeah. I've never really said like, you know, I've always maintained the okay, so one of the things I'd like to say is that the worst thing you've been through is the worst thing you've been through. So, you know, if you have a panic attack occasionally, and that's the worst you've been through, like mental health wise, that still fucking sucks. You know, like I find a lot of the time people with mental health issues tend to be very competitive. You know, like if I'm talking to someone who has anxiety, and I'm saying like, I had this really bad anxiety attack, I can almost guarantee the first thing they will say is, I had one that was even worse, check this one, like this is so bad, you would not, but, and I'm like, I don't see what that has to do with what I'm going through, you know, like I chatted to you about your shit just a second ago, why are we back on you again? I'd like to talk about me.
Hold my Valium.
Like,
thank you, Monkey. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I completely zoned out. My brain is getting tired.
Well,
no worries, Gav.
That's I'm opening another bacon sandwich, by the way, so there's going to be a bit of rustling. Yes, I bought 2.
You had fucking 2 of them.
I bought 2 of them. But yeah, like this is the thing is,
Lucky son of a.
like when you go into social stigma and stuff like that,
Thanks,
you
mate.
kind of have to talk about issue of gender as well, which is that.
Thank you, Squirrel Dude. Sorry, Squirrel Dude just subbed saying, I only get to watch Sage's stream once a month, but it's still a better investment than Fashbinder, who's in his time zone. That's cute. I like that.
Well, I mean, Fashbinder sucks, so.
Everything sucks according to you.
Yep. Life is meaningless.
He's not real in the brain.
Wait, we're in a mental health stream, right? Maybe I shouldn't be saying life is meaningless.
Oh, it's okay. I got a link.
That's okay. I killed Nietzsche earlier. I think we're fine.
At least you can always get a bacon sandwich.
No, I can't. I'm streaming.
I mean, you know, I've been working. I still ordered a bacon sandwich. But yeah, no, there's I find like one thing to look out for is being too easygoing on people with mental health problems. Sorry, that's not. Yeah, that is a thing. What I was talking about was the gender thing. So one of the things that very often gets ignored is the fact that men suffer from suicide a lot, and very often it's because of the whole idea that they have to like bury their feelings, you know.
Yeah,
Man.
Yeah. This happens more with men, especially in more macho cultures. Definitely.
Yeah. Not Sweden, but you know, more macho cultures. I love Sweden. It's a great place. It's not. It's horrible. But
It's okay. I love Sheepdog. He's a great person. No, he's.
that only works if you don't cut out Caff. Just so you know.
I know.
Work on your mic a bit more.
Well, I spent 2 days on it, so shut.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, I mean, like I've seen multiple instances of, and like I've seen it happen both ways. Don't get me wrong. But I've seen multiple instances of someone be like, we really need to talk about men's mental health because, you know, they're encouraged to stay quiet and this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll see, you know, somebody, it's usually on Twitter because people on Twitter are fucking just horrible people. And they'll say like, oh, you know, why talk about men's issues? You know, we should deal with blah blah blah. You know, just smacking it down. Yeah, the usual shit. And I see it happen the opposite way when we're talking about assault and that kind of thing. You know, it happens the opposite way where it's like we have to talk about women, and then men are like, why do we have to talk about? It's all fucking stupid. But yeah, I'd say the problem being is that the tendency to what's that?
Right. So while Sheep's doing his sandwich thing,
Sheep's back.
I'll address Sam's question, which is whether I've done any psychiatry or anything. No, it's not my job. I'm not qualified to be a psychiatrist or psychologist. I have a PhD in psychology, but I never actually studied it, so it's just something that I've done research on, basically. But I have tried to offer some you know, counseling to people who needed it at times. So, you know, I mean, I've but that's I'd like to think I would have done that if my background had nothing to do with mental health or brains altogether, basically.
Yes. But yeah. Sorry. I'll finish my thought. Finish my thought, which I had just had to close my door. I'll finish my thought, which is basically the tendency to be like shut the fuck up, dude, to people, to men especially who have like mental health issues, I think is, you know, an important one to think about. Like personally, I've never experienced a situation where a lady, a member of the female gender, has expressed her feelings and been told to shut up. I have seen it happen to men repeatedly. So
get back into the kitchen, woman. No, doesn't sound familiar.
No, not really. Like,
I mean, it's less about things with mental health maybe, but when it comes to many other fields, you do hear that quite a lot.
Oh yeah, sure, but like this is the thing: is that's
you'd never hear someone say you're a woman, you can't be depressed.
No. I never hear anyone say you're not a man. You can't. You're a man. You can't be depressed.
Well, that happens. Yes, that's something people say apparently.
I believe it. I've never heard it, but
it's so sad that men aren't allowed to. I mean, saying allowed very loosely here, but that men feel like they can't talk about shit like. Because, like you say, men are greatly... There's way more men killing themselves every year than there's females. Because we can go and get help. But men feel like they can't. Because why should...
The thing is like, women, you know, they never follow through with anything. Men, when we set our minds to something, we do it. Sorry, carry on.
When a guy says he'll fix it, and there's no need to remind him about it every 6 months. Yes.
Oh god, they were saying those jokes in the chat. I couldn't hold myself back. I had worse, and I went with the light one.
Yeah,
I'm not even surprised.
That he had worse. No.
I mean, like, this is the thing. Is and this is just a general comment, by the way, guys. Don't rely on stats at all, ever.
Why?
Focus here.
Well,
hey, folk.
For a good example,
how's the ankle?
For a good example of why not to rely on stats, you know that 1 in 5 women will be assaulted in US universities.
No.
There's a stat that's thrown around all the time, which is 1 in 5 women are assaulted in university, like sexually assaulted. That stat is correct, technically speaking, but it as far as I'm aware, of course, I didn't like do a shit ton of research into it. That stat includes claims. So even if it's not proven, or even if someone claims they were sexually assaulted,
and these things are quite often pretty hard to prove, especially if you don't show up.
Yeah, like there's
semen or something.
Yeah, and like even if the claim is proven to be false, it still counts in that stat. So I think the actual stat's like 1 in 20.
Yeah. So if you want to rely on stats, you need to know what they're actually about and whether they make any kind of sense.
I mean, I don't trust. Like, what I'm saying is, if someone puts out a stat, don't trust it. You know, like, don't automatically go like, "Wow, that's that," because
sure. I mean, people make shit up. I think it's like something like 78% of statistics are just made up.
Yeah, exactly.
He said I made it up.
27% of people who quote stats are lying.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was 98.
No, it's 27. I looked it up.
Thanks
good. On the internet.
Because when I was looking up about people who research stats always lying, you know.
Yeah, so thing is, if you want to seriously talk about stats, then you need to make sure you get to reliable sources. Peer-reviewed journals, preferably.
Yeah.
A
couple of really good YouTubers as well.
Someone asked earlier what my PhD was on, I think. I did a PhD in basically cognitive neuroscience, studying how the brain does the mind. And I focus on perceptual decisions and the trade-off between doing them quickly versus accurately. Yes.
The quote from Nugget Night.
Yes, I think it comes with a picture as well. Yeah, it's
also
really cool.
I wanted to insert a joke there. Sage's PhD is currently resting on his chair.
Okay.
There you go. I kind of expected Caff to get that one first.
Was that a dick joke?
Mm-hmm. PhD, pretty huge dick. No? Okay, fine. Fuck it.
No, sorry, lost in translation.
Yeah. No, it's... No, yeah, you missed us. Sorry. Ban sheep, ban him.
Well, I can go for my my puns and dad jokes if you like. I've got a lot of them now.
I'm actually not sure what's worse.
I think we'll live.
Fuck you guys in chat. You just don't know what's funny.
Well, I mean, to be honest, if both of us had started laughing really loudly, people would have probably thought it was a lot funnier.
People probably would have reacted exactly the same.
Yeah. No, I realized I was looking back at my my web lectures, and the mic is really close to my mouth. And so you hear me, but you don't hear the crowd's response. And things just don't come across if you don't hear that the people are responding to it. I mean, it's why the shitty comedies have the laughter soundtrack, basically.
Yeah, I mean, when people laugh, you respond. You know, You're like, ha, that is funny. Even when it's Big Bang Theory, which is possibly cancer. I haven't done research, but I think it's cancer.
So, good question from Cook. All income... Oh, thank you, Kumo. All revenue from today's stream, which is about 50 euros by now.
Give more, guys. Come on. Where's your love?
We'll
we're not really pushing the charity part.
Dump money
the Brain
into
and Behavior
Sage's
Research Foundation. So, yeah,
give money and Sheepy will show you his butt.
Is that what he said? Yeah.
I'll shave my butt.
So it's funding research which is specifically focused on treating and or curing mental illnesses, which I think is pretty cool. Yay!
Woo! Money to charity. I hope you feel good about yourself, Nugget.
Aww.
I told you that's how you get the money. You give them Sheepy's butt.
Yeah, fair enough, Rama. That was a bit all at once. But that's okay, because I'm going for a quick break anyway.
You are?
Yes, because that works better between matches than during them.
Oh, okay, sure. Are you going to put on the music and everything?
Yeah, but I'll turn a little lower so that they can still hear you guys if you want. Cool.
Are you heading off too, Caff?
No. Sit here.
Thanks, mate.
Wow, thank you, Nagali Knights. Awesome. Alright YouTube, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, remember to leave it a thumbs up at the bottom. And of course, if you'd like to see more videos, do check out the channel and hit subscribe on your top right.